achieve their very best outside of the game. And like every show, we're blessed to have another awesome guest. Y'all know how I do. I'm gonna go ahead and let him introduce himself.
My name is beloved Shamel Rogers. I'm a personal brand builder, and I have 2 teams that I own and a league in Mexico. We can go from there.
Cool. You ready to get into the questions?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm gonna start first. We're not gonna do the show without me letting y'all know. Y'all already heard the Rogers name. So I'm blessed to have on another awesome guest who is also my nephew. And I've watched Beloved do some awesome things over the years. And so I thought it was a must that we get him on the show because y'all know the gist of the show is just really getting our athletes to know that there is life outside of the game. And so the good thing with B, he did an awesome job playing the game of basketball for years of his life, played on a high level, but after the game, he is now doing even more awesome things. And just to hear as we get into the interview, you'll be able to hear the things that he's doing to help other players develop themselves. So we're gonna go ahead and get into questions. B, where are you originally from, born and raised?
I moved around a lot, but I was born in Kansas, but I've lived in New Jersey for a quite time, and then I moved to Baltimore, Maryland, where I kind of was raised at. So Baltimore, Maryland is where I'm from.
Okay.
And it's high basketball in that city. You know, a lot of people come from out of there. Maryland as a whole, the DMV area. So, you know, shout out to the DMV area. Yeah, it's just a great place to live.
Cool. When did you start playing basketball, man?
I started playing basketball probably around like 12 years old. I used to go down to the park. This when I was living down in Connecticut with my grandmother for a little while. I used to walk down to the park. This young guy, he was playing basketball. He had all the crazy handles, and I just fell in love with basketball right then and there. And I started playing, and I convinced my grandmother to get me into a league around my school, and then it was up from there. I couldn't stop playing. I could not stop playing. I kind of stopped everything, drawing, everything. I just couldn't leave the ball alone. It's been like that for the longest time, and it's a great sport that, you know, people don't realize it's compared to the game of life sometimes, and I love it. It shaped me to who I am today.
That's good. So outside of seeing the young man playing ball on the courts in Connecticut, was there any other things that may have inspired you to really get into the game, or was that pretty much what got you started and pretty much your inspiration behind playing?
My older brother played basketball too. He really was really good too, because I started at 12, so he was 16, and he was really good. And watching him play and dunking on people and stuff like that, I just wanted to be great. It was competitive right then and there, and I just wanted to really take it somewhere. And then I also knew like basketball could get me a scholarship, and I no one had to pay for it. That really inspired me too, because I was always into school. I love school. I always like to learn. So I was like, if I could go to school and I don't have to pay for it, this is going to be great. So that's what kept me going every single day.
That's good. Were there any other sports that you played in your youth?
I played football for a little while. I was defensive end. Played for the Overly Orangemen in Maryland for a little while. I was a defensive end. I liked it, but you know, once I got to high school and they was telling me, you know, I only could play 2 sports, and I chose football and basketball. But then when football was getting in the way of basketball, I was like, nah, I got to stick to basketball. I love basketball too much, so I just stuck with one sport after that.
Cool. Did you get to play? I mean, did you play a lot on the AAU circuit?
Yep, I played AAU with Cecil Kirk, AAU, and then Baltimore Select. You know, shout out to them guys. They still up and moving. They were very AAU is a different breed of basketball when it compared to like school basketball. AAU is like the elite when it comes to, you know, putting all the greatest guys in your city together and playing on one team, and you're going to compete to other teams in other cities or other towns. And AAU was a great circuit. I played 8 years of AAU, you know, from 12 to, well, six years of AAU, from 12 to 18. So AAU was intense.
All right. So I ask this question to a lot of a lot of my athletes really from different standpoints, whether it's playing club in certain sports like soccer and everything, or playing AAU, or Pop Warner ball. Like for the young basketball player, how important is it to play on the AAU circuit? Like does it ever happen that a player never is able to play on the AAU circuit, goes into high school, dominates, and make it to college? Or is it very important that you get involved in AAU ball at a young age?
It's rare. It's rare that you just play high school ball. You got to be dominating. It's rare that you just play high school ball and then you get a great scholarship or go to a great college coming out of high school, because during the summer, the college recruiters and college coaches, they have time to actually see you. They can't see you as much during the season of basketball because every basketball level can pretty much plays during the same time. So during the summer is a great time for them to go watch you. So AAU is very important for young athletes. It's very important, to get on the AAU team. It doesn't mean that you have to be on the most elite AAU team with all the sponsors and Nike and all that stuff. But it's important that you at least get on one and be in some of those tournaments, because that's when you're going to get seen the most. That's when your name is going to be put out there a little bit more than what it would be in high school or, middle school basketball.
Cool. So do you have any big memories of your AAU career or pre-high school career? Do you have some big memories, anything that you kind of look back on and think about sometime?
I mean, I built a lot of good relationships. That was great. But as far as the sport itself and playing, I was a beast. I'm not gonna lie. So I had a lot of good games, scoring 40, 30-point games, 50-point games. So I had a good career during AAU in high school. But the relationships that I've built, I still, one of my bestest friends, I've known him since AAU, since we were 16 years old, and, a couple of other guys the same way. So I've built a lot of good long-term relationships when it comes to basketball. Those teammates that kind of just stuck with you all during the years. And, I've had their backs, they've had mine. I think that's one of the biggest things, the relationships that I built with my teammates that I still call every day till this day.
All right, cool. So I wanna ask, in during that period of AAU, did you get to meet other players that you made that may have went on to play on high levels or whatever like that? Or are there some players that you could remember playing against?
Oh yeah, I played against a lot of top players. I played against Kevin Durant. I played against Mike Beasley when he was still in the league. I played against Will Barton, Rudy Gay. I played on the same team as Rudy Gay when I was younger. I played up for a little while. I played up in the league. I was 14, he was like 17, but I played on the 17 and under team for a couple of games and stuff like that. So I played with some of those guys as well. The list goes on. I played against so many different players. I'm trying to think. Just DeJuan Summers. He's out of Maryland too. He played in the league for a few years. A lot of players. It's too many. Wow. I'm trying to think about just some that's right off the top of my head. A lot of players that I played against during the time.
Cool. And we didn't ask early, but what position did you actually play?
Yeah, I played point guard and shooting guard. I was a scorer. I averaged I was a top lead in three-point shooter in Maryland when I was my senior year, 27 points per game. So I was a scorer, shooting guard, point guard, combo guard.
Cool. So what high school did you end up going to?
I went to Princeton Day Academy. I actually, that was my senior year. I went to IMG Academy in Florida. It's a big sports academy and everything like that. And then I transferred back. I wanted to come back home and play my senior year back at home because IMG's in Florida, Bradenton, Florida. A lot of great athletes come out of there. Serena Williams goes and plays and trains for tennis at the IMG Academy all the time. It's a lot of greats that go there. But I wanted to spend my senior year at home. So I transferred, came back home to a smaller school called Princeton Day Academy. We were ranked nationally for Christian schools and sports. It was a pretty good season for my last year, but I bounced around during high school just for educational wise, because I first went to St. Andrews. It's a big educational school. It's not sports sports wasn't even really important at that school. It was a boarding school for talented and gifted kids. All of their kids go to college, but 35% normally goes to Ivy League school. So it was a big academic school. And I went there for the first 2 years of my high school career, but I outshined basketball wise because I was really into sports. I love school, but I wanted to get somewhere in basketball. So I transferred out of there and went to IMG Academy because just in that conference with the academic school, there wasn't no real athletes in that.
Cool.
Conference.
So on the high school, and I want to cover this. We're not going to go deep into this as I go with some other guests, especially our younger guests. But I just want to touch real quick because you kind of touched on it a little bit. Like, let's speak on academics. Like, what was academics to you? Because again, what we're trying to push student athletes, we want our kids to know, and I had it with other guests that I've talked about, your education will be what you have to fall back on. So when you don't take your education seriously, you don't secure your degrees and stuff like that, you may not make it to the highest level, and then you have nothing to fall back on. So let's talk about just your academic history from high school on to college. Like, how important was academics to you?
Academic was always important to me. I just always thought about just learning. I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to understand what I was doing. I always did. I even when I was younger, it was just a part of me. I just like to learn, but just for a broad spectrum of it, education is important. You got to understand what you're getting yourself into, no matter what area or field that you go into, no matter if it's basketball, because you need an IQ for that. You need an IQ to play a sport and play at a high level. You got to understand plays. You got to understand, personnel. You got to understand those things. So it's important to be able to learn and comprehend what you're doing. But on a broader scale, education is so important because you have to know more than just a sport in order to live in this world. Because even if you do make it to the NBA or to the NFL or anything like that, you got to read contracts to understand what you're getting yourself into, because it's a business at the end of the day. They might like you, love you, might not care about you at all, but they love that you play a sport, and you have the education enough to understand what you're getting yourself into. So education, no matter what you're doing, is important. No matter if you're playing a sport, no matter if you're going to go and be a carpenter or be a manager somewhere, you need to understand what you're getting yourself into. So education is important.
That's good. That's good. So as high school is wrapping up, or I don't know, it may have been sophomore, junior year, at what point do you say, you know what? I got a chance to play on the next level. Like, when does that whole college recruiting process start for you as far as schools giving you attention? You know, man, I'm going to be playing this sport beyond high school. When did that process start for you?
For me, it started real early and then it stopped. See,
okay.
and I didn't understand what the reason was before, but as I got into my senior year and more people spoke to me, I understood what I was transferring schools so much, high school to high school, because of me wanting to, experience different things. That kind of hindered the recruiting process because they didn't know where I was at.
Gotcha.
But then junior, senior year, that's when it kind of like picked back up because I was scoring so many points and people were, finding more about me because I was having more film. Because beginning years I didn't have that much film; it was just a lot of stats. But film was really important. So once those film got out to people, that's when a lot of coaches started to reach out to me and get my attention.
Okay. All right. So you go on from high school, and where do you go? Where's your first stop? What school do you you end up choosing to start your career in college at?
Oral Roberts University. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a Christian college. Shout out to the Golden Eagles. It's a really good school. I went there because they had great academics, and then they were a mid-major school at the time, and still right now, though. Steph Curry was one of my favorite players, and he went to a mid-major school, and I kind of emulated that. Like, he shined at a mid-major school. I'm gonna go try a mid-major school, and this mid-major school was getting to the NCAA tournament at the time, and they're still doing well to this day, but. That was the school that I chose because of those reasons. I never been to Tulsa, Oklahoma, never knew what that was going to be about.
Right.
But I chose, Oral Roberts. Or it was a really good school. They had really nice people, really respectable people. I love way the atmosphere was there, as far as just how genuine the people were. They were godlike people. So, you know, it was somewhere I can kind of like, you know, step in and understand.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And so you end up transitioning during your college career. Just tell us a little bit about your college career on through college and just, the process and your journey to finish out your college career.
Well, I transferred to an HBCU called Prairie View, and Prairie View A&M in Houston. I mean, in Prairie View, Texas, right outside of Houston. And then I left there and finished to get my degree at Lincoln University, which is another HBCU. Shout out to the Lions. And I finished out with a degree in management, minor in finances and entrepreneurship. And my college career was great. You know, I got to see a lot of things. I got to play basketball. I got to do what I loved. And I got to experience two sides of college, you know, a Christian college, which was very strict and uptight, tight-knit, and I'll say more diverse as far as the people and race. And then I got to go to a HBCU, which was more part of the Black culture, and, you know, opened my eyes to a lot of things. So I think, you know, my college career was really good. And the best part about it was I got to connect with a lot of people when it came to what I'm doing now today, as far as business and what I'm doing with, you know, youth as well as young adults.
That's good. That's good. And so as your career is wrapping up at Lincoln, like what is your focus? What is your thought? What is your game plan for life after college?
To be honest, you know, just my journey with basketball, I'm gonna be real, you know, transparent here. Just because my journey with basketball and, you know, me not understanding the politics of it, me not understanding, you know, what will happen if I did choose to transfer and all that stuff, because those decisions were made by myself and a couple of, you know, people in my inner circle who also wasn't aware of the business side of it. They were just as passionate as I was. So once I transferred and I was at Lincoln at this time, I was just more so focused on, I just want to get my degree. I want to, you know, start, you know, working on that, because basketball kind of took a back seat for a while because, you know, I felt jaded. I felt jaded with basketball just because I wasn't understanding the politics of it, because I left Oral Roberts. And when I left Oral Roberts, I didn't understand that would leave a bad taste in people's mouth, because I thought I was just doing what I needed to do for myself. But in retrospect, I realized that I was a part of an organization and I left an organization, you know, and that's just like, you know, someone giving you a chance and then you're kind of just like, you know what, I'll do my own thing. And I didn't think about it at the time that way, because I was so passionate about playing and being all about basketball, but I didn't understand the business that I was in. And now, you know, my senior year, I understood that. So now I was just worrying about business straight up. I was just like, you know, I want to get my degree. I want to establish myself. I want to have all my documents. I want to get everything together so I can go out and make something of myself into this world, because I knew once I trickled down to a different level in basketball, I knew my chances were a little bit slimmer, and I wanted to kind of like build a foundation. Depending on whatever avenue I take, I'll be good.
Okay. All right. So college is done. And what is the first steps? What are some things you start doing? Or what are some focuses once you are now separated from being a college athlete? What are some of the things you went into from there?
Well, so when I graduated, I still trained in basketball and I tried out for a couple of overseas teams and everything like that. And I was about to get ready to go to Sweden, but I broke my hand. I broke my hand at the tryouts.
Okay.
And when I broke my hand at tryouts, you know, that hindered me because, you know, they don't want an injured player. So I was like, man, this is reality. Reality kicked in really quickly. It was like, okay, what am I going to do now? So luckily, with, you know, connections that I have, family and everything like that, I had a contract job in Maryland for a while. And during that time, I started to just really think about what's my next step. So I was still training in basketball, and I was like, you know, I want to start my brand. I want to start doing more, because I have all of these accolades as far as, you know, my degree and everything like that, but I'm not getting the type of degree money that I thought I would be getting. So I was like, let me establish something for myself because I don't want to have to depend on anyone. So that's when I started my business. I started my marketing management company and started to work with small businesses and help with branding, marketing, and management, and kind of like started taking that project management role and help with small businesses expand their brands for the first like 3-4 years of me being out of school. And after the second year, I just, in the middle of the night, um, I called a friend in Houston. I was in Maryland at the time. I called a friend in Houston and I was like, you know what? This has the best opportunities for my business. I'm going to come out there. They were like, when? I said, right now. It was 2 a.m. I just packed my car up and I drove 24 hours to Houston. I was like, can you just find an apartment? I have the money. Can you just find an apartment for me? Because I don't know where to go exactly in Houston. So they found somewhere for me. By the time I got there, I was just ready to give, full chance to my dream of, building my business.
That's good. That's good. So just let us know. I mean, you can kind of go into it now. I think the awesome thing, man, I've always just admired even as a family member, watching you, man, do awesome things at a young age, man, and just building your brand, building your business. Let us know the different businesses that you have under you going on right now.
Okay. Well, the umbrella is called Toy Urban. It's where I do all my project management. So when I work with different small businesses and everything like that, it geared around sports and entertainment. When I came out here, I really wanted to. Social media started to skyrocket, and what I realized was like, man, you can make a lot of money on social media, no matter if you're a personal brand or you're a small business. So I was like, how can I show people what I know how to do and give them the platform and the blueprint and get paid for it? So that's kind of how I started. I started talking to small businesses. I started talking to venues. I started talking to, different artists from music to painting to digital art to small businesses, from record labels to your mom and pop shops to restaurants. And I just started letting them know, like, this is how you can utilize social media, digital marketing, and bring in more people. And that started to really like build my name for my brand. And then I found a niche within it, because I was like, okay, I have entertainers that I work with, and then I have small businesses. How about I just collide those two, and these entertainers be the marketers for these small businesses? And that's kind of where I built Toy Urban at. So I have artists that get sponsors or endorsers through my resources and my connection. And then we trickle down and do a couple of project management stuff in there, no matter if this is event coordination or building up their brand as an artist or building up their brand as a small business.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So now you're doing more on the sports, even some other things on the sports end. You got the shirt on now that kind of represents. Talk to us about what you're doing when it comes to basketball.
So it transformed over to basketball because a partner of mine just got into the city, and she was like, I want to start a basketball team. And I was like, that's what I want to do in the future. But if you're going to be here, then maybe we could start. I could just back it. Maybe we could start it. And I was really starting to get right back into like basketball. Like I started training again, and I was, in the spirits of basketball. So I was like, okay, I just want to play. I just want to play right now. You can go ahead and control everything, but we're gonna, own it together. And it went from that to something enormous, because we had an AAU team together, a youth team. That's how we started. We had an AAU youth team together. We were doing that, and then we branched that out and gave that AAU youth team to someone else, because we saw a bigger hole in the system. And the bigger hole in the system is you got all these aspiring basketball players between the ages of 18 and 25 who are pretty decent, but they don't have nowhere to call home for basketball. They don't have nowhere to kind of like either develop themselves to get to another level, or at least just make some dollars for their talent. Because if you're not all the way on a high level and you're not overseas, maybe on a lower level, maybe not, there's no middle area. There's no middle ground. So it was like, how can we build a middle ground? So we created the Houston Heat Waves. This is, our logo, Houston Heat Waves. That's how we started. We was like, how can we really brand these people? And, the beginning of it was a struggle. It really was, because it was a learning curve, because all the other teams that we would play against didn't have a foundation. They didn't have much to really stand on as far as producing money, because at the end of the day, it costs. It costs, from jerseys to travel to, setting up events and everything like that. And thankfully, I already had a background of setting up events for entertainers. I understood the little details of how you set up an event. So ours was working a little bit better than others as far as bringing in money. So we saw the gap, and we were like, at the same time, we're basketball players in nature. We're spirited. We've been doing this since we were little kids. So we want to help develop these guys at the same time. We want to make sure that they're developing on and off the court. So our first 2 years, it was a struggle. Then our third year, we kind of like put it all together because we connected with another. This is how great basketball is. Another guy that I've known for a very long time through basketball. He started a sports group, a sports agency, and he was working with guys overseas and everything like that. So we were like, I do management consulting. Let me help consult with you to help expand your brand, and let's bring this all together. And, it's been up from there.
That's good. That's good. So from the team, that wasn't enough for you. You got a league in the works. Like,
yes, sir.
The awesome thing is that I continue to watch B take it to another level. And so he did the awesome job with the marketing company. He goes on, he has a team that he's starting, but then there's a league in the works right now.
We brought our ideas together from our team and the branding and everything like that. And then because of the sports group that we connected with a league here in Mexico called the Super de Baco League. It's a lower tier league, but we saw that there was an opportunity to help them, and as well as bring something to America and keep people playing all year round. So we were like, how can we do that? We can have that league out there. We can have this league out here and establish something where people can get paid, but also build their brand. So in America, there's a lot of people that do not want to leave the United States. They do not want to go overseas, be 1,000 miles away from home, away from friends, away from family. There's a culture shock. There's a language barrier, and you really can't, unless you choose to stay out there and live your life, you're going to come home eventually. So people want to be home. So we were like, let's figure out a way to establish a league where they can be here for the majority of the time and sustain a living and have enough money to sustain a living. So that's what we've been building for the last 18 months. And, this has been our inaugural season for the Mexico side, because they'll be playing over there just for a couple of months, just so they can get their feet wet. And then they'll come over here and utilize the rest of the time of the year, and really that bulk time of the year, to spend and play in the United States and make decent money. So that's what we've been establishing. It's called the Super de Baco League in Mexico, and here it's called the Alpha Basketball League. Okay. So those are the two things presented by Hoop Alphas, which will be the network that it'll be broadcast on. And, it's been a building phase, and we've been doing a lot for it. And we're just going to keep, moving these chains and taking every step forward to kind of like give these guys better opportunities and create a middle ground where if you don't make it to the NBA, it's okay. You have an area where you can come and not only learn basketball on the court, but learn how to build your image and brand off the court, because that's equally important, because, basketball is only one half of your life. Most people are, even if you, play for a long time, you're done at 38 to 40.
Right.
You got, how Deion Cole said, you got a lot of summers left. You got 4 summers left. You got 30 some odd summers left. What you going to do with your time? And, if you build a good brand, you build a good image for yourself, that can lead into your 60s and 70s, because, like they say, all you got is your name, right?
Right.
So if you got your name and you got a good image, you can, be rich forever.
Got you. So just for those that's out there that's listening, they may know some athletes kind of finishing up their college careers. Maybe the young athlete watching get to that point where they say, man, I can remember hearing that show what the gentleman was talking about, this other league going on in Mexico. Hey, man, give all your contact information so the young person or even the adult coming out of college, they know how to get in contact with you because they may be interested in linking up with
you. Okay. You can contact me at Just Do It Be Love on Instagram. You can contact my brand, Toy Urban. It's all on Instagram, spelled just like that. Toy Urban on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all the same. Toy Urban. And when it comes to basketball, Hoop Alphas. That's HOOPALPHAS, Hoop Alphas. That's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Hoop Alphas. That's where you're going to get everything that you need from developing as a basketball player. You can contact us about helping build your image and your brand. You can contact us and we'll get you connected to Rise Above Sports Group, who helps handle consulting to get them, different positions. If it's not going to be a part of the Cipro de Baco League or the Alpha Basketball League, there's other opportunities that we can get for you. Cool. So, sky's the limit. And like I said, shout out to Rise Above Sports Group. They're doing a good job helping players get overseas, get opportunities, go on tours to be seen over there. So, shout out, big props to them. I really respect that they've been grinding it out for a long time. So,
that's definitely good. That's good. Quick question. I want to kind of backtrack a little bit into your journey in college and just ask you, for the young athlete watching, like, what are some things you should look at when making a decision to choose a college? Like, what are some things from your standpoint you feel like a young athlete should be looking at?
One, I make sure that you go and visit your college that you want to go to. I think that's one of the biggest things. Make sure you go and visit, step on campus, walk around, talk to some of the people that's already there. I think that's one of the most important things you should do. No matter if it's an official visit or not, you should go and you should talk to some people that's already on campus. Another thing to look at is, if you don't already know, because, it's a lot to think about, but if you don't already know what you want to major in, start looking into that, because your school might not have that for you. That was one of the biggest things. I love Prairie View A&M, but when I first went there, they wasn't really giving me enough for my business major. They were really big on criminal justice and nursing. So, you got to take a look at what they really give to students as far as their education. They're all really good schools, but they have all focus points. And then the other thing is, understand what your relationship is, or what your relationship will be with your coach and your coaching staff. That's really important. And understand that you get a clear understanding of what they want from you as a player. Don't be afraid to ask as many questions as you want, because there's no wrong question and there's no wrong answer. So make sure that you ask as many questions as you want to your college coaches, to the college staff, because your life is on the line, because your future is on the line. So make sure that you ask as many questions as possible, and don't be afraid to not take your first offer. Have some options and choose wisely.
Cool. And I think another question before we get into our questions that we always have to wrap it up. What do you have for the young athlete, any sport, their college careers wrapping up, and they kind of may get that feel that, hey, man, I don't know if I can make it on the next level. What your league is doing is awesome, just giving basketball players another outlet. But from your experience and now with the awesome things you've been able to do, what words of encouragement do you have for that athlete that's wrapping up their college career, maybe dealing with the anxiety of, man, this long, some players play for, 15 plus years, little league and all of that stuff. Like, what words of encouragement do you have as far as just kind of redeveloping a new game plan so that they understand there is life outside of the game?
Relationships. I can't stress that enough. It's about your relationships. You're in college for 4 years, or maybe 3 to 5. It depends on what happened in your journey, but build those relationships. I can't stress that enough. Build those relationships, because those are the things that you're going to be able to fall back on, no matter if you make it in basketball or not. because you're there to build relationships. Education is key to the component of, your senior year. You're worrying about what you're going to do. You're about to graduate and stuff. Education is important, yes. You need to learn, but you're there to build relationships. That's the most important thing, because you never know who knows who or who knows what, because you might have a friend that knows someone that gets you into a league, or you might have a friend that knows someone that can get you a really good starter job, an entry-level job. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important to build those relationships. That is the most important thing. Do not be a hermit crab when you're in college. Do not be a hermit crab when you're in high school. Build those relationships, build friendships, be genuine about it, but build those relationships and friendships, because it's going to take you a long way. They're going to last much longer than any job, any amount of money, any opportunity, and especially it's going to last much longer than your career in basketball or any sport.
That's cool. That's cool. B, we appreciate you taking the time to give us this awesome information. We're going to get in these two questions we always like to ask. I just want our young athletes to always hear from different standpoints. But how important is it to have positive people in your circle?
Your flock is important. Birds of a feather flock together. It's so important. Your circle is important. They say, tell me who your closest friends are, and I'm gonna tell you who you are. Those cliche phrases are so important, because if you don't have the right people around you, it's going to deter you from whatever you're doing. I don't care how strong-willed you are. I don't care how you're saying, I could get past all of that. They're not gonna bother me. Eventually it wears you down. You got to make sure that you have positive people looking out for you. You got to make sure you have positive people doing, not only just encouraging you, but you need to have positive people that's encouraging themselves to do something, because if they're not doing something, they're going to be hanging on your coattail. So you got to make sure that you have people around you that's doing something for themselves as well. Those key things: make sure that they're doing something for themselves, make sure that they're always super supportive of you, and make sure that you have at least 3 to 5 people like that around you. Because, and the last one is, make sure that they're honest with you. You don't want that guy that's just always saying yes to you. You want that guy to tell you, hey man, you messing up today. You want those type of people around you. That doesn't sound positive, but that's the most positive thing you can have.
Got you. That's good. And our last and final question: who or what is it that inspires you in life?
Helping people inspires me a lot. I really get a kick out of helping people. That's kind of like what kind of like inspired me the most when I started my brand, because when I came out to Houston, I had like a relaunch party or whatever, and the event had life coach, speaker, a comedian. It had a whole like different array of people. And I'm sitting back and I'm looking at it, and I'm just watching how all these people came together. They're networking with each other. They're talking about new things they're going to do with each other. And they just met today. And that was caused by me bringing them together, and it helped them build their brands. And I just was like, man, I really love helping people, no matter if it's just, something small or, something that can, change their lives forever. I just want to help people. That really what inspires me the most. And when it comes to basketball, because I'm so like close to it and I experience so much with it, if I can help a couple of guys in that area, then it makes my day, for real.
That's good. That's good, man. Well, B, we've had another awesome episode. You've given so much great information. You've been an awesome example just for our young student athletes to know you're a person that, was able to go on, even from having an awesome, basketball career. You've gone on to do some awesome things now to help. And I think it lines up with something I've said so much in the past, like, it's about giving back. And so just to see the things that you're able to do now with your business, your marketing, or even the basketball league and team that you have, it's about also being able to take what you learned and help others to be able to go through this journey. And so, man, keep up the great work on your end, man. Appreciate you taking a moment to be on the show with us. Those watching, y'all know I say it every show, it is good to be great in the sport you're playing, but it's even better to be great in life. So continue to join us as we continue to bring you great information and we continue to help you so we can all continue to go out and up. Thank you, B, for joining us, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you. You're doing a great job. You need your flowers as well. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be on your great platform.
Appreciate you. Thank you all for joining. We'll catch you next episode.